Welcome aboard the BK Escape Pod. That's right, it's the augmented and bionic podcast version of the live show you can hear Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF Radio. You can stream the show live there Saturdays at WBHFradio.org or on the free Tunein app. Look out, here we go. Stand by for launch.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Okay, you got your seatbelts on? Are you all strapped in? Are we all ready?
Ready. Seatbelts on.
We're rolling down the taxiway here, ready to get the
rolling down the
take
taxiway.
Off here.
Getting ready to take off.
Pull some G's.
Pulling some G's. Praying to God.
I'm going down there. He's going down there. I wouldn't.
I would.
Yeah. Hey, good morning. It's BK on the air here. I've been starting every Saturday for the past 3 or 4 weeks with some kind of rant, but I'm going to start it this week with more of a. It's a rant about me.
Oh, good.
These are my fault because
I will
it's two things in particular. Well, you could just sit and laugh because you're probably going to do it because you were present for one of them, and I'm glad that you weren't present for the other one. Because if you were present for the other one, well, you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
I tell you what it was.
I am now strapped in for sure.
The first one is,
look.
There's a reason there was no podcast this past week for BK on the Air.
Well, that's true. I was there for that.
For some reason, I'm saving the show last Saturday, and I don't know what happened. Apparently, I think I fed my mogwai after midnight on that day because it transformed into something that got into the computer or messed something up or pressed the keyboard or something, and I did something wrong or it did something wrong. And I lost the show last week when I was recording it. I'm like, where did it go? I know I saved it. What did I do wrong? So I did something that screwed everything up, and I apologize for that. But, hey, I take full responsibility for it. Well, I didn't because I blamed it on a gremlin. I just lied. So I do not take full responsibility for
I was in the other room, and all of a sudden here you go, oh, no.
Yeah, and did you see it?
Shoot.
And did you see him scream?
No.
You saw him scream and run out, right? You saw him run out the door. That's right. It was Stripe. He ran right out the door.
So why'd you let him out? Well, I didn't know he'd shoot through the wires on the clock.
Here? It's a perfect radio station for him to be at. Is WBHF? There's a gremlin running around. That was
little buddy on the side going, I told you.
That was. I love it. I love it in Gremlins 2 when it cuts. They're abusing Gizmo through the whole film. They're abusing him, throwing him in places. But you see him start to dress up like Rambo. Remember, he puts the headband on and he gets the cotton swab and sets it on fire and gets the paper clip as a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And he busts the air vent open and he pulls it out and shoots the one gremlin with the fire. And they're like, Gizmo, what happened? And the kid said, I guess he just had enough.
He just had enough.
Cuts back to him like, he's turning. And Jerry Goldsmith does the music for, as we know, does the theme for Rambo, all the Rambo films, and he does the music for Gremlins. And when he plays the Rambo theme,
there was a hair of a familiar string there.
When he just plays there, I'm like, that was great. So,
are they doing a new Gremlins?
It's in the works.
Okay,
I hear they're trying. Joe Dante, the original director, and Zach Galligan, who played Billy, the guy who's not a kid anymore. And I follow him on Twitter too. But he's on Twitter and on Facebook. Look him up, Zach Galligan, and he's a really nice guy because he'll engage with people and talk to you. But they're working on another Gremlins, from what I understand, and they want to incorporate CGI with practical effects as usual to do that, and that would be fantastic.
If they do what they did, like I said earlier, with the return to Dark Crystal with that 10 limited series, where they call it AI or CGI enhanced practical effects. That'll be awesome.
Would be fantastic. I have to watch the Gremlins films. If I want to watch them at home, I have to watch them by myself because no one likes them.
Really?
And I'm like, Gremlins were great. I thought
it's a great Christmas film.
There's
the first one.
Well, there's certain parts of the second one the second one is like it almost takes it a step further, and I love the second one because it's just so they kind of went, okay, we're going to do another Gremlins film, but the people that made fun of and I did too. When I first watched the first Gremlins, I'm watching it, but when everything stops and Phoebe Cates starts to tell the story about her dad dying in the chimney, bringing her presents to Santa Claus, I'm like, this seems out of place in this movie. All of a sudden, it's like brings it to a screeching halt of depression here.
It does, and I will tell you this. I made sure, because my kids, when they were younger, I said, we can't show them Gremlins until they reach past the certain age.
Yeah.
Because when she makes that revelation in that story, I was like, you can't show this to little kids.
That's devastating.
You're talking about, not only is the depressing moment,
right.
I could just imagine every kid in the eyes went, What?
So in Gremlins 2, something happens, and Phoebe Cates looks at Billy and starts to reminisce. She goes, "Oh no, I remember another time when my dad." He goes, "We don't have time." They just skipped it and then ran off into the building. I thought that was funny because they're kind of making a swipe at that scene in the first film. But yeah, the second one is just completely over the top fun to watch, and a lot of Warner Brothers cartoon homages in those because Joe Dante was a big fan of that stuff. So yeah, that was mistake and rant number one about me doing something wrong is totally losing. I mean, I've really never lost anything really important on a computer before. I've been pretty lucky. I don't think I've ever had a computer get a virus before. Watch me get one now when I get home. One's waiting for me.
Wood.
So, because I've always used Mac and Apple products, but not anymore because now I've figured out I've got to replace my laptop. So I got to shop around for one. I was telling you about that last week. I still haven't found one yet because mine's still working just barely enough where I can get by. Some of the keys don't work, so I have to find words. If I have to type something, I have to find them somewhere and copy and paste whole words. If I have to type something, I'm procrastinating. I should have gotten one already. I just haven't a chance to do it. But I was going to buy a Mac, and I'm like, they're still so high. You know, it's like they're so expensive.
You're paying for a name at
it's
this
crazy.
point.
I know. So I'll stick with the PC as much as I don't care for them. But yeah, I got to get a new one. Now the other thing that I did, I hate this, but it happened to me yesterday. So, you know, it's going to be a bad story when I start out by saying, so I was in the bathroom. Public bathroom at one of the gas stations, you know, driving last night. And I'm wearing khaki colored pants.
Okay.
Light colored, you know, khakis. Or
Makes sense.
So I step up. I have to do number one. So, you know, I'm standing position in the position.
Do we have to go into this much detail?
Yeah. So
okay.
let's just say that moisture and liquid really show up on khaki-colored pants when there's a problem.
Yeah,
there's mistakes.
They get dark.
So I had substantial problem with splashback. And I tried, and you're walking out. I'm walking out. I'm like, I don't want anybody to see this because I'm walking back out to my car real fast, get in my car and leave. So it's just embarrassing, and it takes forever. I got the air on, the vent on, going down the road like dry. And I was like, it's just like 2 or 3 little spots. You know, I'm like, oh, I hate that. So anyway, that's my 2 rants about me today. It's not about
you don't have
else.
to stand so close.
Both of these. You go start singing the Police. The urinal singing to me.
You could back up a step or two.
wasn't standing too close, but it had one of those things in the bottom, those air freshener things.
Oh, the puck.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, they're called little pucks.
And it just hit that, and it was like a deflector shield.
Oh,
it's like and it was like in slow motion.
Straighten the rear deflectors. It's coming in.
I was like the classic, you know, the line that everyone laughs at. No, and it was all in slow motion. So
yeah, you should have queued up the third Star Wars film.
Yeah, because
line in any Star Wars movie ever.
I'm like that line, screaming no, is parodied in everything, including The Simpsons and everything. Right. Why would you put it in a serious film and expect people to take it seriously?
You can't anymore. It's
kind of funny. So there we go. We got a lot of news coming up today. A lot of
hopefully we don't have any
golden rage of TV.
I don't want any of that.
I don't have to worry about that. You know now why I said you should be glad you weren't with me for the second incident. I'm glad you weren't with me.
I am glad.
Hey, it's
I would have liked to have seen the result coming out. I would have laughed.
It's happened to more people that they'd like to admit. To be killed.
We'll return after these messages.
What molds into silly animals and silly shapes?
Silly putty.
What bounces like a ball?
Silly putty.
What stretches and stretches?
Silly putty.
What picks up pictures from a newspaper and makes them silly? And if you stretch it, even sillier.
Silly putty.
Are you sure Silly Putty can do all those things?
Yes, silly putty is fun.
Silly Putty comes in a shell shaped like an egg. Nothing else is Silly Putty.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3. going on?
Yes, something funny's always going on with the Brady Bunch.
Gosh, hey, that's some special kiss.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I did. Uh-oh.
They wouldn't get me into one of those suits, even if they promised me mouth-to-mouth resuscitation with Cary Grant.
A funny bunch, the Brady Bunch. Every week on ABC.
It really works.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. If you were a fan of the 70s hit show Good Times, then you'll know the name Janae Dubois in the role of Willona Woods. Making her start in New York, Janae landed roles in various films and Broadway plays, including 1964's Golden Boy, alongside Sammy Davis Jr. and Lola Falana. She next set her sights on Hollywood. Landing a role on an episode of Sanford & Son was Dubois' initial brush with the TV titan Norman Lear. She later grabbed his attention again while starring in a play called Hot L. Baltimore. Impressed, Lear offered her the role in Good Times. But that wouldn't be the only time Janae impressed the famed producer. Feeling she wasn't getting a chance to show her full potential, she brought it to Lear's attention that her multiple talents, which included music, might also be useful to him. He told her he could use some help with the theme song of his new show, The Jeffersons. He then vaguely explained to her that it was about a family who owned a dry cleaning chain, gaining success and getting a new lease on life. With the music co-written by mega hit writer Jeff Barry, Janae went to work on the lyrics, which admittedly she struggled with. That is, until her mother suggested that she just write it about herself. Dubois claimed her childhood dream was to make it in show business and move herself and her mother into a deluxe apartment on New York's East Side. Out came the lyrics to Moving On Up. According to the Star, Norman Lear was amazed that she knew exactly what to include in the words with very little backstory. When asked, Janae told him it was simply her life put into a song. Having appeared in dozens of TV shows and feature films during her career, winning 2 Emmys for voice acting, and co-founding LA's Pan-African Film Festival, Janae Dubois clearly achieved her dream and finally got a piece of the pie. This is Pat McCormick with your Retro TV Trivia from the Golden Rage of TV. You can also find me on YouTube and Facebook at Golden Rage of TV and on Twitter at Golden Rage of TV1. And now back to BK on the air.
You know that fish don't fry in the kitchen and beans don't burn on the grill.
Well, that's what we hope for.
Took a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill. Mm-hmm. You know, I also saw her, and Norman Lear must have really liked her because she's in an episode of Sanford & Son, because that was another Norman Lear-produced show, as an old flame of Fred's, and she's playing much older than she was. She had gray hair, and they had a little bit of old makeup on her eyes and stuff to come back to see Fred to, come back into his life or whatnot. So it was actually a funny episode. So she was also in another show. I remember seeing her in Sanford & Son, so... Thank you, Pat, for that trip into the Golden Rage of TV. Well, I was driving last night when I found out the news of we've lost an Avenger. One of our Avengers has passed away. Chadwick Boseman has died at 43. Oh, my goodness, what an age. From Julius Young at Fox News, I got this story right here, the particular story. Actor who embodied the legendary black icons Jackie Robinson and James Brown and the Black Panther on his way to become face of the Black Panther has died. He was 43. The actor's death was confirmed yesterday by his representative, who said the wide-ranging performer died of their bout with colon cancer. Now, Boseman died at his home in the Los Angeles area with his wife and family by his side, his publicist Nikki Fioravanti told the Associated Press. A native of Anderson, South Carolina, played Brooklyn Dodgers barrier-breaking star Jackie Robinson in the 2013 film 42 and played James Brown a year later in Get On Up. His blockbuster role in Black Panther came in 2018. Well, it actually kind of came in 2016 when he was cast at the end of the Captain America Civil War post-credit sequence. He appeared as the Black Panther. Quote, a true fighter, Chadwick persevered through it all and brought you many of the films you have come to love so much, unquote, his family said in a statement. From Marshall to Defy Bloods, August Wilson's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and several more, all were filmed during and between countless surgeries and chemotherapy. They say it was the honor of his career to bring King T'Challa to life in the Black Panther. So think about it. At least in the movies by Marvel,
right,
he had been diagnosed already, and he went through all those films being as physical as he had to be during some of those scenes. I mean, I know some of them were stuntmen and whatnot, maybe some of the CGI characters of him running around in the Black Panther suit.
He looked in great
but
shape
you
when
had
he goes
to,
shirtless.
Yeah, you can't fake that part.
Dude,
so, yeah.
That dude had a good set of pecs on him.
Yeah.
He had done a few push-ups.
Bozeman had not spoken publicly about his diagnosis, so not a lot of people knew it. Now, I said that I saw a photo of him. I can't remember whether it was from November of last year or February of this year, where he looked rather frail in a picture that I'd seen from 2019, I think. And I'm like, wow, I'm usually used to seeing him as T'Challa in the Marvel films. Why does he looks like he's lost a lot of weight? And I had assumed I thought that he had lost it for a role he was doing.
Which would make sense.
Yeah, because a lot of actors do that.
Mm-hmm.
Name a few. Robert De Niro and Raging Bull gained a lot of weight and then lost it.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew McConaughey in the Dallas Buyers Club. Christian Bale in The Mechanic.
Joaquin Phoenix getting ready for the role of the Joker.
In the Joker, yeah, lost a lot of weight. Or sometimes you gain weight for a role. That'd be the best reason for me to do a role, to lose weight. Because if I knew I had a role in a movie, I'm like, I'm going to lose weight now because I got a role in a film. I hate that my health wouldn't be the reason that I would do it. But, it's a big motive. It's a big motivator, it's a lot of money. But, yeah, so I assumed that he had lost the weight when I saw him in that photo because of a role. But now I'm thinking it might have been for other reasons that he lost the weight.
Obvious.
But talk about Marvel movie and casting. Was he or was he not fantastic as King T'Challa?
It was
in
perfect.
Black Panther. He embodied the character. Now I can't think of anybody else doing it. It was a great casting choice. Marvel does a great job at casting. Say what you want about some of the movies, like, oh, this movie was better than the other one or whatnot, and Marvel has their great movies, but none of them are horrible.
Right.
They're all really good. But the casting, the care they take in casting is amazing. And as you know, we're both film lovers. That can make or break a movie when you cast it properly or improperly.
It's certainly a good step on the way to success by casting it properly.
Yes, and I would a bad casting choice. Now, this is my personal opinion. Some people think this as well. One example of bad casting was casting what's the guy's name from Zombieland? The kid.
Oh, Woody Harrelson. Oh no, not Woody Harrelson.
The younger boy.
The kid. Oh my gosh, he was in
Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse
Is that his name?
Yes.
Casting him as Lex Luthor in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, I thought was a big mistake. For me, it was a mistake. I didn't think it was.
There were a lot of mistakes along the way.
There's a lot of mistakes. And I don't know if
I wouldn't blame the failure of that movie just on Jesse Eisenberg.
No, and I understand there's director's cuts of it and Justice League that are coming out that you'll be able to see. And I don't know, everybody's like, you should watch the Justice League director's cut. It's a completely different film. I may actually do that one day and check it out just to see, because I always, you and I like to see things for ourselves, and we'll go, okay, well, I need to see it. I don't want to judge it before I see it, because I didn't care for Batman versus Superman very much. I thought the Justice League was a little better in its own way, because we know Josh Whedon stepped in and directed a lot of it from Avengers director helped with that. But I hear now that it's got a completely different tone with the director's cut that is going to premiere that you can see. So I'm like, oh wait, it's longer. It was pretty long to begin with. So I'll check it out and see. There's a Snyder cut. Zack Snyder cut of it out. So
we'll see.
We got some DC news too coming up as well.
Yeah, good, because I'm glad Zack's kind of out of the executive producer role, director role with the DC universe, which is good. I just think he took it down the wrong path. It may be the path he wanted to take it down. It just, for me, it was not a success.
Well, we've got time. I can get into some of it right now, since we're talking comic book movies. I just had a convention, or an online convention, because that's on the way they're doing it now, called the DC Fandome, Fandome. And one of the things that was released is the Shazam 2 title was released, the second Shazam film, the sequel to Shazam. Again, another DC movie that I liked from Warner Brothers. I thought Shazam 2 was clever. Shazam was clever. It was funny. It was to me, it was their Deadpool, but the family could watch it. Mm-hmm. It was, breaking that wall and being funny and stuff like that. And I thought it was very interesting. You haven't seen it yet, have you?
I have seen it.
Have you? I thought Shazam was a nice departure from some of the other stuff they've done. It was total correct as far as the Shazam story goes, with the other kids becoming Shazam characters. That was all in the original comic book. They went back to their roots. Shazam stars Zachary Levi, Asher Angel, and Jack Dylan Grazer are among others at DC Fandom to tease what's in store for Shazam 2. I got this from IGN.com. While they weren't able to reveal much about the sequel, they did reveal the official title. Shazam 2 will be called Shazam! Fury of the Gods. That suggests we'll be learning much more about the 6 gods who bestowed the powers upon young Billy Batson. And amusingly, comedian Sinbad also topped the panel to poke fun at the tendency for people to confuse Shazam with his 1996's Kazam. movie that came out. Sinbad seemed to tease he teased that he might be in the Shazam sequel. So we're not sure whether he was joking or not. Yeah. The sequel, which is currently scheduled to open November 4th, 2022. Let's hope everything is over by 2022. That would be great if all this pandemic is over by then. But I'm remember that light at the end of the tunnel that we said that we're starting to see? For some reason, it just got pushed further away the past 2 or 3 weeks.
I feel it's like that camera trick, like in Poltergeist and Jaws. Like,
right. It's like it's a zoom in, but it's a pan in at the same time.
It's still there. It just feels like it's running away as fast as I'm coming toward it. It's just the background
is moving. What's going on? Learned how to do that. I did that with a video camera once. It's very cool the way I was able to do it with a video camera. Yeah,
Focus
it is hard.
And push and pull.
And you got to be steady with it, too. And they'll reveal what happened to Billy Batson and all the Marvel family since we last saw them in the 2019 film. Fans will recall that Shazam's post-credit sequence revealed the alien Mr. Mind visiting Savannah in prison on the window. What was the result of the meeting? Will we see Shazam and the Marvel family square off against Savannah? Or we'll find out. I got more DC news, too, coming up after we flash the audience when we come back at the bottom of the hour. Some news that you may find interesting about the Suicide Squad by James Gunn and some casting. And a lot more coming up on VK on the Air. We'll be back.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got the best for so much less. You really flip your lid. From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is. Gee whiz! I don't want to grow up, 'cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys. Oh boy, I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
Oh, wow, the nerd conversation that are going on when the microphones are off just now.
I let you just go with that. I just nodded a lot.
I thought you were like agreeing with me.
No, I agree with you. You are a Hufflepuff.
So you weren't just placating me. You were like,
no, you are.
Let's go.
We're
talking Harry Potter.
You're definitely a Hufflepuff.
I took the test. I'm a Hufflepuff.
You're like, a what?
And,
a what?
And they make fun
Tiger
of Hufflepuff.
Shark.
But hey, that's not true. They're very nice folks. Very nice. And not afraid of toil. It's one of their
no, they're loyal.
It's time that we flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre. I do have some weird stories amongst all these depressing stories. I have another rest in peace death story in entertainment coming up as well.
At least if the one I'm thinking of, at least they lived a fairly long life compared to our
kind of different.
Mr. Chadwick.
I got the first news from UPI. A Minnesota man broke a Guinness World Record when his hair was styled into a mohawk that measured 42.5 inches high.
Whoa.
I don't know how he could go anywhere with his hair. I mean, it's not practical.
42 inches.
Joseph Grissamore said he initially attempted to break the record. It's not the first time he's tried for the world's tallest mohawk in 2007, but his hair fell short of the needed height. That's funny. Grissamore's attempt for the 2021 Guinness World Book of Records took place at Family Hair Affair in Park Rapids, where stylist Kay Jetman spent hours working on his hair with help from Laura and Mother Kay. The stylist said it took a half a can of got-to-be-glued blasting hairspray, that's G-O-T, the number 2B, got-to-be-glued, to make Grissamore's hair remain vertical.
That's 3.5 feet, dude.
42.5 inches, and it's the mohawk. Now, if you want to look it up on the internet, you'll see pictures of it. It's sticking up.
Put him in a Mad Max movie now.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to put any headgear on or anything. So, yeah. All Max would have to do is just cut off his hair. You shall not cut my hair.
Yeah, my power, man. What do you think you are, Samson? Come on.
He'd be like Thor. Please don't cut my hair. Sir, please.
All righty. I got the next news.
I hate it when my hair is messed up, too. I like good haircuts, you know.
I like mine long, but my wife says you're starting to get scraggly. I'm like, I kind of like that look. She goes, no, it's not a good look for you. Like,
it's okay to grow it long if you still have hair, but if you're losing it on the top and growing it in the back,
that looks bad.
That's like the old rockers, the rock and roll dudes that do that. I don't do that.
What was the name of the hunched over guy in the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Oh,
that
yeah.
Had that. His assistant.
It was like basically bald except for hair in the back on the side.
He just had but it's really long and scraggly.
You don't want to do that.
All right. Well, this is from UPI. A video filmed by a wedding guest and posted to Instagram by groom Aaron Sawitsky shows the couple exchanging vows during their outdoor wedding in Marion.
This is great.
If this is what I just saw on Fox 5, I saw live footage of this. Is this how you want to start your marriage? Is this a sign from above? Let's face it, 2020 has not been the best year, Sawitsky said, eliciting some laughter from guests just before a bolt of lightning crashes down on the lake behind him. The boom of thunder, you can see the guests flinch and react at the loud boom. The video shows Sawitsky's gesture toward the scene as evidence of his point, and then has the bride, Denise, and wedding guests erupt into laughter. Sawitsky said the wedding had repeatedly been delayed due to concerns about the ongoing C-19 pandemic. The couple said the rest of the ceremony went on without any further unexpected complications.
If there's anyone here that wishes these people should not be wed, may lightning strike now.
If anyone should know any reason why they should not be wed, well, apparently Thor has something to say about it.
Or is there somebody else Shazam? What happened? I don't know. I got the next news. When it struck the way it did, I think that's funny, though, because he kind of said, 2020's been a year to remember.
There you go.
And then it goes. An Ontario 11-year-old broke another Guinness World Record when she solved 30 Rubik's Cubes one-handed while hula hooping. Here's another one of these. Again, how does this happen? I have no idea. With
First
one
of all,
hand.
I can't hula hoop, and I've tried. Right. I have girls, so I had a reason to have a hula hoop.
Is there a video of that?
I wanted to. No.
Okay.
I hope not.
Well, we're going to find out.
My daughters might. I don't know anything about it.
We're going to find out.
But anyway, all right. So I can't hula hoop. And you know what? I also cannot solve a Rubik's Cube.
I can't do either one either. It's going to add Rubik's Cube to that,
too. This story I can't do.
Listen to the. It gets better. Well, it gets worse, but it gets better. Guinness said that Sanvanki Rankin, 11 years old, of Mississauga, solved 30 of the puzzles with one hand while keeping a hula hoop moving around her body, beating the previous record of 25. There's a record before that. The record took Rathan less than an hour to break. Rathan said the record was ideal for her because she has limited mobility in one of her hands, even.
Oh, wow.
So not only did she solve the cube, I have limited mobility in my hips.
First of all,
nothing wrong with my hands, but the hula hoop, my limited mobility in my hips would be the problem.
I'm trying to imagine, even if I could get a hula hoop going, shouldn't it be a record just be going an hour?
And with a hula hoop, I'm sure there's a hula hoop record. Yeah, oh yeah.
But I mean, an hour straight while solving 30 Rubik's cubes
with
one-handed.
One hand. I've tried. I mean, even when I was back when I was a kid, somebody pull out the hula hoop. I'm like, oh no, I got to try this again. Here we go. And they always had the little beads in them to make the little jingle, shaky rattlesnake noise or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I tried. I think I can get 3. I can keep it up for 3 revelations, and it falls right down. That's
just the momentum of having turned it fast. Like I could do that, and then I'm looking like I'm having some kind of a conniption. I feel like Fred Sanford.
And you're probably like me. People are like, no, here's how you do it. No, you can show me 20 times how to do it. I'm still.
You're not gyrating. I'm like, I think I am.
Do it. If I think
no,
I'm gyrating,
you're not. Well, I must be because in my head I am.
Doesn't that mean you are? If you think
yes, I'm like I can't hula hoop. There's no. It doesn't matter.
No, that's right.
The best I can do is get a really
solve a Rubik's Cube with one hand and hula hoop. She broke the record.
Oh, it's craziness.
No way.
Hey, there's our Food Talk 4th Saturday lady. She's walking by the window right now. We got Valerie Holt.
Window. No, she's telling us we're number 1.
She's doing a little politicking with her T-shirt. So, all right. Well, I've got. Is this the last?
I don't know. Is it?
I got the last.
You got the last one. It's a nice one too.
All right, it's a long one, so feel free to participate. All right, a California man attempting to defend his home from a wildfire said he turned to an unusual source of help when his water was shut off. I'm going to leave it at that.
You'll see why I gave this one to you.
Yeah. This is so funny. You know, we always are 2 weeks behind in our podcast for the Wild Ride Listeners Lounge. This is one of my stories that'll be coming up.
Okay.
That's how good this story is.
I could not leave it off the list.
So how would you battle a blaze? We all know what's going on in California.
A spit on it?
Yes.
I don't know. How would you?
I'm not going to tell you what he used. I will just tell you that the water got shut off, and he was like, I cannot stop fighting this fire.
Yep.
Chad Little said he decided to stay behind when his family evacuated their Vacaville home last week as the LNU Lightning Complex fires approached the neighborhood. Little said he had hoses set up around the house to provide a consistent source of water to keep the flames away from the home, but he started worrying when the water to the area was shut off. The homeowner, whose home previously burned down 5 years ago in a fire sparked by an attic fan, said he grabbed one of the only things he had left available, one of his 30 packs of Bud Light beer.
Right.
That was the only thing I had, and I had a lot of it, he said. And by the way, beer is wet. That's what he told a reporter. Luckily, I had a bunch of cases of Bud Light, and I was able to get it out. Little pulled away some of the sheet metal from the wall by the workshop that had been used and then used an exposed nail to pop holes in the can, which the pressure would allow the beer to squirt out of the can and use it to fight the fire.
Which, like has always happened. You know.
When I ripped up the sheet metal, it had a nail, so I just was shaking it up, popping it, and then spraying them, popping and spraying, and going from one can after another. Now, look, my buddies all tease me about, quote, drinking water beer. And I say, well, guess what? It saved my shop. He said firefighters eventually did arrive in the neighborhood and helped keep the rest of the flames away from the home. Little said his carport burned to the ground, but his home was untouched by the flames. Thank you to our local brewery here in Cartersville, Anheuser-Busch InBev, for your Bud Light.
And they make water when there's an emergency, right?
They do have some of the best.
Plant?
You know what? Completely contaminant-free. Best tasting water you'll ever have in a can.
Barley and hops free, too.
Well, it is
hops water,
free.
yeah.
It'd be the kind of beer can you would be okay drinking from.
That's right. So, I mean, if you haven't got anything else to put the fire out, I mean, there's stories about World War II guns overheating in a bomber, and they have to cool it off somehow. They didn't have any water.
Remember that scene in Alien? I've always loved it. It goes, we're overheating. He goes, well, do me a favor and spit on it for 2 minutes, will you?
Yeah. Well, they didn't spit on the World War II guns. They did something else.
Do something else.
Like a midget at a urinal, I was going to have to stay on my toes.
Hippin' and hoppin', flippin' and floppin'.
Here come the Trons.
Trons, micronauts that can make you laugh. Batteries for each not included.
They scramble and tumble, ramble and rumble.
Waggle, wiggle, can make you giggle.
Here come the Trons.
Alphatron, Betatron, Gammatron.
1 by 1 and 2 by 2, how wacky, it's all up to you.
Here come the Trons.
Alphatron, Betatron, Gammatron. Each sold separately from the Micronaut collection by Mego.
Vengeance has consumed you. It's consuming them. I'm done letting it consume me. Justice will come soon enough.
Tell that to the dead.
The living are not done with you yet.
Little Chadwick Boseman there as the Black Panther from the end of Captain America Civil War, when Baron Zemo has actually explained to him that he's pitted the Avengers against each other and whatnot, and he wants to kind of take himself out. But the Black Panther will not hear of it. He's going to keep him from letting himself kill himself and take him to justice, which I think is another fantastic understated scene where he's powerful, but he's not yelling or anything. No. He was very good at that, as you stated earlier today. I've got a quote from Chris Evans, Captain America himself, about the passing of Chadwick Boseman. He put out this statement: "I'm absolutely devastated. This is beyond heartbreaking. Chadwick was special, a true original. He was a deeply committed and constantly curious artist. He had so much amazing work still left to create. I'm endlessly grateful for our friendship. Rest in power, King."
Wow.
Is what Chris Evans put out. Someone's on the line right now calling in. It's BK on the air. I think I know who this is. Hey, it's BK on the air. Who's this?
Hey, BK, it's Eric.
Hey, Eric. How you doing?
Buddy.
I think I had to break the news to you last night about this, didn't I, about Chadwick Boseman?
Yeah.
Yeah, you hadn't heard about it yet.
Because I have no words.
Yeah, it's a surprise, that's for sure, and it's devastating. And I think you went with Mrs. BK and I to see the Black Panther. We went and did like a listener viewing of the Black Panther, and we had a great time.
Yeah, and I can honestly say that's the first movie I've sat through and said nothing.
That's true. You were very quiet through that film.
I literally, because it blew my mind. His performance as T'Challa blew my mind.
And you're a Black Panther fan. You read the comic book. You're a big fan of the character. And wouldn't you say that his performance, you can't really think of anybody else doing it now at this point?
And now, because they're coming out with Black Panther 2.
Yes, they were in talks, yes.
Well, how they going? How?
Well, I don't know. They're probably going to obviously recast it. And Alan had reported earlier that he. Well, yeah, he had lent his voice as T'Challa to the Disney Plus series, animated series What If by Marvel as well. He was working on that. I don't know if he finished that or not.
My question is, I have no.
Yes, I can tell.
Speechless.
Well, yeah, it would talk about surprises. When I heard about Robin Williams passing away, that hit me like a brick. I'm like, wow, I had no idea. That's just some things happen that you don't expect.
The way he did T'Challa.
Yes.
was iconic. I mean,
it was.
Because the movie had been in development for like 20, 30 years. It's like the role was written for him.
Yes, and I wasn't I'll have to admit that I wasn't very familiar with him before the movie Black Panther. And when I saw it, I just you kind of assume if you're not familiar with him it's not an accent he's talking with.
Yeah.
You think, oh, that's just maybe where he's from, and it wasn't. He doesn't sound like that. He's just a great actor filling that role.
And still, like after I get off the phone and after BK on the air is over,
right,
I'm watching Black Panther.
Well, good. I mean, Alan was even. I think Alan, you said you'd think about going back and watching Black Panther and then watching the next subsequent movies after that.
Yeah, Infinity War followed by Endgame.
Actually, you could probably start with Civil War and then go into Black Panther because that's the next one that he's in after that.
When you called me last night, I literally had to call one of my friends that was a stunt person on Black Panther to tell me it was true because it was like,
right.
There's no way.
Well, devastating news. Chris Evans is right in his statement. The guy had a lot of talent and a lot of work left in him. What he could have went on to do would have been amazing, but now we're not going to get that, and that's unfortunate.
I don't think they could do, and this is going to be a bold statement, and you know I'm known for bold statements, so be ready.
Yes, very bold.
I don't think they could do Black Panther 2 now.
Well, it would be not right this second. I think after a little bit of time, they probably will make another one because people love the character and they really want to see it come back in Marvel.
But who would, unless they do?
But how would you like to be the actor stepping into those shoes? That would be you'd have to be. Oh man, what am I doing here?
Well, Eric,
it's got to be bad.
Let's play devil's advocate for a moment. Would you want to be Chadwick Boseman sitting there at the pearly gates, looking down, going, "Wait a minute"? You don't want to do another one just because I died? Come on, this is a great character. There's lots of tales to tell.
I can see that.
That's a good point.
I was
yes.
going to say that. But,
good point.
But there's a whole, in the comic book, there's a whole story angle where Shuri, his sister, becomes a Black Panther.
True, and they may go that route with Marvel and whatever.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah. I can see that.
I'm telling you, whatever route they decide to go with Marvel, they usually do it well, whichever way they do it. So
well, like Eric's saying, they don't have to really think their way out of a box. They've got a lot of source material to draw from.
Oh, heck yeah.
Here's the thing. If they try to recast T'Challa, I don't think people going to go see this.
No, well, I'm not that much of a pessimist to think that way.
And I'm not either. I know it's still raw feelings right now, and everyone's very emotional about it. But a lot of actors do get replaced for whatever reason. And let's put it this way, on the other side of the coin, a lot of Marvel characters and DC characters have been replaced by someone else. Steve Rogers wasn't always Captain America. Someone else became Captain America. The Falcon became Captain America. So they could do that, or they could just recast it. So it's going to be interesting to sit back, though, and see what they do, because I still think Black Panther 2 is still quite a ways off anyway, so we'll see what happens.
I don't.
Well, hey, have a good time watching Black Panther today, and it was a surprise to all of us, and I was sorry I had to break the news to you last night.
Eric?
Hey, man, it's okay.
Hey, before I let you go, got to say it, man. Wakanda forever, buddy.
That's right.
Yep.
All right, buddy.
Right.
Talk to you later.
See
Bye.
ya. Wakanda forever.
It's always good to end. We ended with Eric on a positive note.
I wanted to keep it. I wanted to keep it there.
It's good. So
I was like, I kept waiting. Yeah. When does the bottom drop out?
Yeah, if I let him go any longer, he's going to say something about me going to the bathroom that I told him earlier. So I don't want to get into that.
But in the Greek, Jehovah starts with an I.
You can. Idiot. Well, again, he's very passionate about it, and I can understand why, because Eric is a huge Black Panther fan.
Mm-hmm.
I found a couple of prints for him when we got together, and it was good taking Eric to see the movie, because I'm like, I haven't seen Eric in a while, and I've known Eric for a long time, and I said, I'll call him up when we went to see the Black Panther when it came out. Mrs. BK and I, we all went out to see it, and it was like, I think it was the first time we'd seen it was with him, so we didn't know what to expect. But he's got a couple of Black Panther prints on his wall, color prints by some Marvel comic artists, which are fantastic. Now, Jack Kirby, I think it was just, you've heard the name Jack Kirby. Mm-hmm. He's a creator and artist with Marvel back years ago, I think, and he's been dead for a few years. But he was one of the co-creators of Captain America back in the 40s. He created the character, but he also created Black Panther. Jack Kirby did, and he did a lot of art on Black Panther in the 60s and 70s.
Stan Lee gets the name because everybody knows him, but
right.
Jack Kirby was responsible for at least as many, if not more, characters.
He was. Stan Lee, some people are stickler about that. When they make the montage, they put a picture of Stan Lee and then surround him on a photo with all the Marvel characters. I'm like, well, that's true. He didn't create all of these. He created a lot of them, though. Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Thor. I mean, a lot of the major ones he did create. But yeah, Jack Kirby was an artist. He was one of those comic artists where you look at his art and you're like, that's Jack Kirby's art. Or, just name one that we're all familiar with. Frank Miller's art. You can always recognize when he does something. John Buscema. A lot of Jim Aparo that did Batman for a long time. But anyway, we're getting into comic book stuff there because we are talking about Chadwick Boseman and the Black Panther. I keep forgetting he wasn't just in the end of Civil War. He was in the movie Civil War. That was the first movie he made an appearance because he's fighting on the side of Tony Stark,
right,
trying to keep them from the Winter Soldier away. It was a fantastic introduction to him in that film.
I like a lot of people call the Captain America 3 is almost like a Avengers Light. Because at the end, you've got the Avengers.
Well, they've got a lot of them in it, yeah. And Tony Stark's got a huge presence in it because it wasn't the exact.
They also introduced Spider-Man in that.
In the Civil War, that's right. 2 characters were introduced. Their version of Spider-Man in the Marvel Universe, and I've heard that they're going to be producing Spider-Man 3 in Atlanta, which is nice.
Well, they did the first 2. Why not?
Yeah.
Well, of course, the second one was a little bit overseas, too.
By the way, now some new movies are out in the theater now. They're starting to release new films in the theater. The New Mutants, Marvel's last X-Men offering, which is produced by the now defunct Disney gobbled up 20th Century Fox or whatever. Now it's called 20th Century Studios. They dropped the Fox off of that. And it's kind of, what's funny is it's out in the theater. It's a new movie, so it's out. A couple other new movies are out. Bill and Ted's Face the Music is out. So new movies are being released this weekend, or maybe this past weekend. But NCG, that you and I always talk about going to see old movies, they still have a lot of the older movies there, and they've just added 2 more. They have the 2 Spider-Man movies now playing. Homecoming and Far From Home are there.
Oh, cool.
So you want to go see a couple of Spider-Man Marvel films, Marvel Studios? They're out there.
You know what's crazy? Our buds from the UK, Chris, was telling me that Tenet just opened in the UK last night.
Really? I think it's about to open here, too, locally in America.
Pretty
too,
close.
so,
I think Christopher Nolan has made that decision. I want it in the theaters, even if it's a small run.
Sure.
It'll eventually go out on video. We'll make our money some way.
Right.
But he said, my movies are made to be watched on the big screen, including the IMAX screens.
Most of them are. Most films are just big that.
Yeah.
I think Ridley Scott said that once. He goes, "I don't like people watching my films on a phone in front of their face." He goes, "Don't watch my movies that way. If you want to do me."
I see Jack out there.
And whatnot. Yeah. Hey, Jack. He's got a fire extinguisher on that.
What a cool Jeep Wrangler he's got.
That's kind of an older school one.
If he ever wants to just get rid of it, my wife would take that in a heartbeat. She's like, I would love a Jeep Wrangler.
So anyway, yeah, new movies to see. Old movies are still out there to see. Go to the theater. AMC is opening back up too. Again, that light at the end of the tunnel is coming, but the train has slowed down.
Well, maybe we have.
I know.
We're taking a break halfway down the tunnel.
That's right.
We'll keep going in a minute.
Be down there. We're going to take a break. And, hey, I promise, if you listen to all these commercials coming up that I'm about to play, we'll stop and get some ice cream, okay?
Wait,
Just
what?
telling you. Yeah, we will.
Who you waiting for?
Ice Cream Jones.
And new ice cream cone cereal.
My name's Ice Cream Jones. I'm bringing the kids my ice cream cones. A crunchy new cereal for breakfast. The great taste of ice cream cones. Whoa!
I'll have vanilla.
Give me chocolate chip.
They look like little ice cream cones.
And taste like them. The crunchy part of this nutritious breakfast. My name's Ice Cream Jones. With the great taste of ice cream cones. New ice cream cone cereal.
This is Evel Knievel and the Evel Knievel shock-absorbing stunt cycle. You can make them do wheelies, backstands, even mid-air somersaults. And for that big jump, here's Evel, up and over that 4-foot ditch. Evel Knievel, sold separately or with the Evel Knievel stunt cycle from Ideal.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Hello.
Hello.
Yo.
Hey, we're back. It's me, Killer. Oh, I love it. Every Saturday you come in here and flip the switch and talk about stuff that I grew up with and be goofy and even mess up on the air because it's part of my show is to mess up and make mistakes. I'm glad I'm not part of some big news organization where I'm going to have to be on like all the time and zero mistakes, I'd hate that because they'd fire me. Talk about background checks. I'm glad they didn't do one on me before they hired me here. Well, I mean, I would have passed it because if they looked up my background and see what it was, I'd be perfectly fitted to do this show.
Right.
Wasted my life, watch TV all the time, know all about all kinds of geeky, nerdy crap, and talk about it and have it all in my head.
No, in all honesty, if they were having a casting call, they got done with you, they'd say, okay, well, we'll let you know once we... And they go out and there's nothing but just a wasteland in the lobby, and they there's only you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You got the job.
Or they'd go, he's overqualified.
You've got the job. Yeah.
He's totally overqualified.
We have no idea what you're going to talk about, but we don't care.
No Channel Star Wars report today. They're still on a little hiatus, but we're going to do August 29th on this day in history. Why not? Since that is the date today, isn't it? Yeah. It's coming up on the end of August. Oh, my goodness. 1885. Let's go way back. August 29th. Gottlieb Daimler receives a German patent for something on this day.
A combustion engine or a car? Either one.
You're close. Keep guessing. Keep guessing.
Well, if it's not an engine and if it's not a car...
No, but keep guessing. You're along the right path. It's just smaller.
A go-kart.
Keep guessing. You're almost there.
Lawnmower.
Motorcycle.
Oh, motorcycle. Okay,
He receives the patent for a motorcycle on this day in 1885. August the 29th, on this day, 1966, the Beatles' last public concert was in Candlestick Park, San Francisco. Not many months after I was born. 1967, on this date, August 29th, the final episode of The Fugitive, starring David Jansen, watched by 78 million people, where he finds the one-armed man that killed his wife.
Wow.
And you were talking about how the new show with Kiefer Sutherland has a little different twist on it now. On what was the channel? Was it Hulu that has it?
No, the Quibi.
It's the Quibi channel. Quibi. Yeah, which
Quibble?
is kind of great that the Fugitive is back. And the movie with Harrison Ford was great. Oh, what was the number one hit today back in 1982? Well, I'll play a little bit for you. 1982. What was number one if you listen
Tron
to the radio?
was in the movies?
No. This is song.
I know. I'm trying to think of.
Oh, you're thinking about. I have that too. I have the number one film
my
too.
head. We had Tron. We had
there's
Star
a trick.
Trek 2.
There's a trick though. There's a caveat with number one movie at the box office today. Today it was the number one film after reclaiming the number one spot. It was number one, then it got knocked out by something else. Now and then it became number one again.
Okay.
And it's a milestone film, too. I'll just say that. But number one, if you go out there and flipped on the radio in 82, you wouldn't hear me because I wasn't on the radio in 1982. Thank goodness for that, some people say. But if you turned on one of your FM rock and roll stations today, the number one hit. This is my dad's favorite Steve Miller song was Abracadabra. He loved this song.
I remember this in elementary school. I think it was 5th grade when this
Thanks
came
a lot for reminding me of that.
Everybody was singing Abracadabra.
That's right. And it was his, believe it or not, Steve Miller had been on the scene for years. He was singing.
Wasn't this his first and only number one?
First, I don't know if it was only number one, but it was the biggest hit he ever had. And I'm like, it took him that long. And you know what's
amazing?
Funny? After this song came out, he peaked. I don't think he ever really had achieved any much success after this. He had albums come out later, but I don't think he ever had another top 10 hit for the rest of his career.
I love little tidbits like that. I always, my wife gets so mad because I repeat myself with the same facts when something triggers it. Every time "Drive" by the Cars comes on, I'm like, this is one of the only songs that Rick Ocasek didn't sing. It was
Benjamin Orr sung it. The drummer.
And this is the only song to get closest to number one of all the hits they've ever had. It never hit number one, but it came the close. I think it was number 4.
And I think he was the first member of the Cars to pass away. He died.
It's like, so the guy that you hear as the voice normally of the Cars isn't even responsible for their best charting hit.
Isn't that weird, though, that happens? So 1982. We're going to stick with 1982 as we go along here, and you'll see what I mean. On this day, August 29th, in 2012, banana spider venom is found to be effective in relieving erectile dysfunction on this day. In 2012, August the 29th. That's when they found out about it.
Who would have thought to put those two things together?
Well, you got to be careful letting it bite you there because it's going to hurt.
Yes.
if that doesn't help you, I don't know what it would. I don't think it would help me. So you got to be careful getting that. How you get that venom to treat that problem. Birthdays today. Today's Michael Jackson's birthday. American recording artist and the king of pop. Thriller, Bad, Off the Wall. Off the Wall is my personal favorite album by Michael Jackson. I always loved that album. He died in 2009. Director, sometimes actor, Richard Attenborough's birthday today. He died in 2014. He's and a lot of kids only know him as the old man from Jurassic Park. Right. But he was a prolific director, too. He directed Chaplin with Robert Downey Jr., which is a fantastic movie. He directed the war film A Bridge Too Far, which is another
great
depressing war film about what happened, but it's actually really good. And what a star-studded cast that movie has. Everyone's in that movie.
Everybody is in that movie.
And he also directed a little-known horror film with Anthony Hopkins. The first thing I ever saw Anthony Hopkins was a movie called Magic, where he was a ventriloquist. And he had a dummy called Fats. And it looked like him. It was a caricature of his face, and he was schizophrenic. And he talked for the dummy, and the dummy was real, according to him. And when he killed people, it was the dummy that killed people. It wasn't me.
Very movie. I remember seeing that when I was younger.
Great score by Jerry Goldsmith on that film, too. It's Betty Lynn's birthday today. Actress Betty Lynn, you might better know her as Thelma Lou on the Andy Griffith Show. She was Barney's girlfriend, Thelma Lou. She's in her 90s, and I think they're celebrating her birthday today up in Mayberry Days up in North Carolina, which they have up there, which is fantastic. We talked earlier on the Golden Rage of TV about Janet Dubois singing Moving On Up. The Jefferson song, and she was also on Good Times. Well, it's Wheezy's birthday today, Isabel Sanford. She died in 2014, but it's her birthday today. And today is also the birthday of Jack Black. So we have a few birthdays there as well. A couple of deaths to report about today that died on this day. August the 29th. On this day in history, 1987, Archie Campbell passed away on this day. American country music comedian, Hee Haw member, cast member on Hee Haw. He was hilarious. I only mention Archie Campbell because I was a huge Hee Haw fan watching it as a kid growing up. To me, it was the country Benny Hill. They both had a lot in common. They were just two different sides of the world. My dad took me to meet Archie Campbell when I was a kid. He had an appearance somewhere when I was like 6 years old, and I met Archie Campbell, which is great. And today marks the day that Gene Wilder passed away. Is today. Another interesting note. Gene Wilder.
Wow.
Number one at the box office. We'll stick with 1982. Alan was trying to think about it. E.T. the Extraterrestrial was number one on this day in history. It had been knocked out by something. I think it was one of the Friday the 13th movies or something knocked it out, and then it came back as number one. It didn't last long.
Do you know how many movies came out in 82 that we all know?
Oh, a lot.
Like Blade Runner,
goodness.
Dark Crystal.
Big year.
Just tons and
82
tons of
and 84 were two big years for movies to come out. We're going to have a few more things when we come back as I tell you what national day it is. There's two national days today. Stand by. We'll be back. It's BK on the Air.
A little nonsense now and then is relished by the wisest men.
Peanut butter.
Chocolate. You got peanut butter in my chocolate.
Well, you got chocolate in my peanut butter.
Bravissimo.
Two great tastes that taste great together. Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Real milk chocolate. Good old-fashioned peanut butter.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
And now, back to a guy who has no idea what a call of encroachment means, but he knows what roughing the listener is all about. It's BK on the Air.
Hey, that's part of my job description. It's part of my job title. Got to roughen up the listener a little bit, ruffle some feathers. On this day in history, well, not history, it's actually today, August 29th. These are not history, this is happening right now. What national day is it? Today, August 29th, is National Chop Suey Day.
Okay. Chop Suey, Hong Kong Fui.
It's also National Lemon Juice Day.
Okay.
Talk about something that stings if you get it on a...
on a lemon in the paper cut.
By the way, I was doing that the other day. You know how hand sanitizers is running rampant right now. Hand sanitizer all over the place. I used some the other day, not forgetting that I had a cut on my middle finger, and I was just sitting there going, hand sanitizer. How come a small cut hurts so bad? I mean, I've actually cut myself with a knife before, and it didn't hurt as bad as the paper cut that I got. I know there's a scientific reason for that, but I don't know what it is.
You know the scene in Harry Potter 2 when he stabs the book and then the searing light comes bursting out of the guy? It's like,
It's like you get up in the middle of the night and I'm walking to the bathroom and I accidentally stub my toe on the footboard on the floor of the bed as I go. And for some reason, when you stub your toe really bad in the middle of the night, there's a delay in the pain. You hit it, then you have time to think about, this is going to hurt. And about 4 seconds later, boom.
Oh, I thought I broke two of my toes yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yesterday?
Yes, yesterday.
Oh, no.
Funny you talk about the toe thing. So we.
I know you don't like to talk about feet, but
when we've got the mattress, not the mattress, but the bedspread all stripped off the bed to wash, whatever. We put up a baby gate to keep the dogs from hopping on the mattress,
right?
Because we don't want them to be on there in case they're shedding and stuff.
Right.
Let them put all the. Anyway, long story short, one of our dogs was sleeping on the other side of the baby gate. So I'm trying to hop over the gate with one leg, and as I kind of try to not move the dog, heaven forbid I move the dog.
Don't mess with the dog.
My other foot swung around and I guess swung wide and caught the edge of the door frame on the opposite side of the hallway. Not my big toe, my second and third toe. And you're right. There was that moment of searing.
You know it's coming.
Like, you hear the high-pitched whine in your ears. And it's like, okay, the pain hasn't hit yet, but I'm dreadfully aware this is not going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah.
I just let out a string of words that doesn't help get rid of the pain. I was like,
colorful metaphors?
I'm hoping I didn't break two of my toes.
I think
it finally subsided, but I'm
thinking
like,
it may be by design, because you can hurt any other part of your body and it hurts immediately. Or like right when you hurt it, that hurts.
Oh, I just think it hurts so bad. It was like to get your mind prepared for it.
Maybe it's so far away because it's your foot away from your brain or something. Maybe it takes a long, and maybe it's fate just going, this is great because this is going to give you a few seconds to prepare for this pain that's coming. You can actually think about it. Or it may be worse. I mean, sometimes it's better when you get the spanking from your dad. You're like, let's just get it over with. I don't want to wait on this.
Did you see that movie Ransom? With Mel Gibson?
With Mel Gibson, yes.
Where they dig the ball-peen hammer to his toes? That's what it felt like. I was like, that's what he went through.
That's another one of those films, Mel Gibson film, or it's just a film in general, that everyone forgot about, that I thought was really great. Yeah, I thought it was.
One of James Coburn's last movies.
That's right, in Ransom. That's right.
Yeah. He's like, oh, man, don't make me do this.
I got a little tip for you about dog hair in the bed. Mm-hmm. The more that's in there, the softer your bed is. Do you know that?
It is true. That is true.
Kind of like a hay bed in the barn, or whatever. It's like, it's hair. It's nice and soft.
I always want to collect that and put in a pillow.
Dog hair.
Aw.
Do you see the video of the dog delivering Chick-fil-A food to his master? He went and got it. They paid for it, and the dog went up, got it, and brought it back to the pandemic distance.
My dogs are not that well trained. My dog's like, if I'm going to get food, I'm eating it.
Quick story. Mrs. BK went and got her some Chick-fil-A one day, and our dog Pippa knows better. She knows better than do this because she's been scolded.
All our dogs know better.
She walked out of the room, left the Chick-fil-A sandwich on the ottoman in front of the couch.
Dog level.
And when she came back, she wasn't still eating it. It was gone. It was gone. She was lying there, not even licking her lips. It was just she was done with it. It was she inhaled it. And I was upstairs, and I heard such talk. It sounded like Georgia Bulldogs had lost a game with her. If I may use a sports analogy, because
when
she's a big fan.
Lost the Super Bowl.
When they lost, it was oh my goodness. So I had to go get her another one. So I was like, which was great because it meant I could get one too.
Oh,
so and I like the spicy ones. I like the spicy ones.
The question I have: why didn't she bring you one? Why didn't she bring you one to begin with?
Yeah.
Did that ever occur?
Isn't that a good question? Yeah, I wonder why. When you see her next time, ask her why.
I'll ask her for you
because I don't want to ask her.
I'll let you get a good head start. And I agree. The spicy chicken sandwich, the best chicken sandwich ever invented at Chick-fil-A.
She's a scuba diver. She can hit me over the head with one of those air tanks, and it would hurt. I don't want to clang. I don't have to go through that. By the way, I got a quiz for you later on in the program today. We got another quiz for you.
Okay.
This is not from MeTV. This is from Decades.com, the Decades channel, too. This quiz is great. It's called 80s Band or TV Show Title.
That may be tougher than it sounds.
It was easier for me to do only because I knew a lot of the obscure shows from the 80s. Remember when TV Guide would come out with their fall preview issue? And I'd always look forward to it as a kid. I'm like, new shows coming out. What are they? And I would start looking. And I still remember some to this day that didn't make it because, some of them are not going to be hits.
Right.
There was a sci-fi show that came out in the late 70s, early 80s. With Lou Gossett Jr., and it was called The Powers of Matthew Starr. And it was a Universal show. It was the same guys that produced Battlestar Galactica.
Maybe the title is why it didn't survive.
Well, it was, I don't know. But in the 80s, they could call things that still. It was still that poppy-sounding stuff. But it was a kind of a cool show. It was about a prince from another planet, and then Lou Gossett was supposed to hide him on Earth and keep the aliens that are looking for him to kill him from killing him and whatnot. It was an interesting show, but it didn't make it. There was a show called Flying High about 3 stewardesses. One of them was, remember Connie Selica, the actress? Mm-hmm. She was married to Buck Rogers, Gil Gerard for a while. She was in a show called Flying High, and I remember it well from the early 80s about 3 stewardesses. It was a comedy, just about 3 stewardesses on a jet. whatever. And it was just one of those shows that didn't make it. Some of them don't make it.
That was a better title, though.
Yeah, Flying High. So the title sequence, you can see all these shows still.
I do that a lot, though. I'll look at the title of a movie or a TV show when they're debuting. I'm like, it's going to fail based on the title. You can just sense it.
Why
you
did
just
they
feel like
call this that? Yeah,
I don't know.
Speaking of TV, I got a television story here, and I'll get into this. We know Chadwick Boseman passed away, Black Panther. But this is from Nate Day at Fox News. Joe Ruby has died at 87. And that may not be a household name, but when I tell you who he is, you'll remember. His death was confirmed to Fox News by the animator's son, Craig. Ruby passed away of natural causes in the early hours of August 26th. In his home near Los Angeles. In addition to his work on Scooby-Doo, the daytime Emmy nominee worked closely with the late comic book titan Jack Kirby, who Craig said helped Ruby to create 800 characters that remain unproduced with the Ruby Spears Productions Company, his father's company. Ruby also oversaw Saturday morning children's programming at CBS after co-creating the smash hit cartoon Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? For the network with Ken Spears. That's why you see Ruby Spears on the end of a lot of these cartoons. The pair would later do the same for ABC, and CBS's then president Fred Silverman relocated to that network. Under ABC's Filmways, Ruby Spears Productions would create cartoon characters such as Fang. You may remember some of these on Saturday mornings. Fang Face, Plastic Man, Mr. T, and Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Ooh.
He didn't create Alvin and the Chipmunks. They were created back in the 50s.
No, but they created
60s.
the animated series.
The animated series was. The outlet reported that Ruby, who also served during the Korean War and worked for Disney in its animation department, but also worked as a comic book illustrator and music editor. He's credited as creator for such cartoons as The Barkleys, Jabberjaw about the shark. Remember the shark? Remember after Jaws came out, they had to have a big Jabberjaw show about a big shark that sounded like Curly on the Three Stooges when he talked.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, they did a fantastic Ruby Spears production in 1987, and people forget this, but it's on DVD now and you can see it on CBS. They did a Superman cartoon in 1987, which used the John Williams theme at the beginning, and it was a fantastic Superman animated series, long before the one that came later with Batman, the animated series that Warner Brothers did. But if you ever get a chance to see the 1987 Ruby Spears Superman animated series, it was fantastic. It was one of those that had one of those tags at the end where something was happening in the episode, and at the end, Superman would go, "Kids, by the way, let's talk about bullying. Don't bully people and stuff." And they did a lot of those. They did those in the 70s with our cartoons. Remember Shazam?
It almost was like an homage to the 70s when you see that now.
Yeah,
my kids got hooked for a while on the. Oh, what was it? VeggieTales. They were sort of biblically inspired fruits. And
I heard of that. I didn't see it, but I heard it was really successful.
They were always fantastic, always fun, but they always had the moral at the end. So what did we learn today?
Right.
But they always did it in a funny, kind of almost a quirky way, so that way it wasn't hitting you over the head.
That's how you have to do it. Don't hit them over the head like they do today.
Not with Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
I don't need it.
You don't have to scream your message at me. Thinly veil it like Star
Captain
Trek
Marvel
used to do.
Gave me the ending little montage for 90 minutes.
Right.
Thank you. I feel so much more enlightened.
We've had Michael Gray on the show from Shazam. But by the way, Michael Gray from Shazam, the old television show, he played Billy Batson in the early mid-70s. Great friend, talk to him all the time. He's on the show a lot. He's heard. He texted me the other day and said, "Oh yeah, they released the title for the new Shazam film from Warner Brothers in DC. I'm again on a quest of trying to get with them to get me a cameo in the film." I'm like, "Well, I hope you do it. I hope they do it this time. That'd be great.
That would be awesome.
If you're actually in the film, that'd be great." I still think they missed the opportunity, obviously, the first time to put him in there. But I said, wouldn't it have been great if Marvel had put him in the Captain Marvel movie with a cameo?
Oh,
because that's what Shazam's
wink,
name
nudge,
was
nudge.
originally, is Captain Marvel.
I think they should have made him like one of the school administrators or teachers where the kid was going to school. That would have been great.
That would have been what a missed opportunity. I really hated that. And you said you did see Shazam, right?
I did.
At the end, I'm not breaking anything because everyone's seen it now. Let's hope. Superman makes a cameo at the end of Shazam because he comes into the cafeteria at the end and sits down or whatever. And for some reason, they couldn't get Henry Cavill to play him
because they weren't sure if he was going to be contractually coming back.
They couldn't get him to play him, so that's actually I hear that's Henry Cavill's stand-in playing him.
Makes sense.
Is who it is. So because you never see his face, you just see him from the neck down, sit down the tray, and sit down, kind of beside him. I hear there's momentum behind him returning as Superman as well. So Man of Steel 2 or whatever. Let's hope that DC gets its act together. It'd be nice. I'm looking forward to Suicide Squad because it looks like there's a lot of Marvel actors that director James Gunn is bringing in from Guardians of the Galaxy and a lot of other folks to be in the new Suicide Squad movie. So
when you read me the list earlier, before I think we need to get to it on your show, but we talked about it on mine. We need to I'm willing to give DC another try.
Oh, yeah, I'll see it. Maybe we'll go see it together. We haven't seen a movie together in a long time.
Not since Star Trek 2.
That's right. It's BK on the Air.
Tonight, an ABC premiere presentation. Take her out. The adventure continues. You didn't expect to find me. The deadliest criminal in the galaxy is on the loose. He wants to kill me. And the battle lines are drawn. There she is. William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and Ricardo Montalban. Fire! Star Trek II. Kill him. The Wrath of Khan, next.
Hey everyone, it's me, Alan Sanders.
And me, BK on the Air.
To tell you about WBHF's informative, entertaining, and fun 5 hours of Saturday morning talk radio. First, Waking Up with Alan, 7 to 10 a.m. It's where I take a look at the world and community topics of interest, and sometimes even feature guests from all around Bartow County, plus a few opinions of my own.
And then it's time for me, BK on the Air, from 10 a.m. till noon. It's where we celebrate nostalgic geekiness, entertainment of the past and present, along with the strange and bizarre. Plus, we have a ton of fun.
So, as you're finishing up that nice morning cup of coffee
or that big bowl of cereal,
tune in to us Saturday morning
right here on
AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF.
You can also listen online at WBHFradio.org or download the Tunein app for your mobile devices.
We are your guardians of Saturday morning.
Ooh,
that was pretty good.
I liked it. Brought a tear to my eye.
You want to keep that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? I'm just going to save it.
Good.
Okay, cool.
WBHF in Cartersville.
So what?
We're back. You're still talking. That's okay.
You did that to me on purpose.
I did. You were still listening to what was playing in the background.
I'm waiting for music bump.
You're just talking and talking.
I hear the liner. You play that 70s liner.
It's this show. I can.
And
do
then all of a
stupid
sudden, like,
stuff
where's the
that.
music? And then it's like,
That's right. Hey, there's.
You know. How about
look
this?
who's outside the window.
Yeah, you're gonna need to go get it. I'll talk for a minute.
You're gonna talk.
Yes.
Wait a minute. I can't leave the mic when I'm live on my own show.
Sure you can.
What are you talking about?
What you talking about, Willis?
What you talking about, Willis?
Yes, I can.
Barbara's out there with, I think, more goodies for us, the food and stuff.
Do you really want me to go?
I don't know if you want to. But I got to tell you about I want to tell you, when you get back, I want to tell you about the Suicide Squad cast. We talked about it on your show today, but we haven't talked about it on this show. I think, now, as we all know, James Gunn is directing the Suicide Squad, and they actually premiered the trailer at DC Fandome this past week. It was one of those online conventions, I guess, like Dragon Con's going to have, and everyone's going to do these online conventions, which I guess is better than none, because due to the pandemic, a lot of people supposedly can't get together like that. Thousands of people at a convention can't get together, so they're doing it online. Well, DC premiered they showed the Batman trailer, which, number one, I thought was amazing because you've seen it. I thought Colin Farrell was completely unrecognizable as the Penguin in the Batman trailer because I had to pause it and look, and 2 or 3 times. I'm like, he's the Penguin. Oh, no, That's him. I couldn't believe it. I'd forgotten that he was playing the Penguin. We see the Wonder Woman 1984 trailer, which looked very interesting because I thought Wonder Woman was great, and I'm looking forward to that film. Kristen Wiig is the Jaguar. And the Suicide Squad teaser trailer hit as well, directed by James Gunn. If you're unfamiliar with him and you listen to this show, I know you're not. Director of the first 2 Guardians of the Galaxy for Marvel. And, they fired him, brought him back and everything. And when Disney fired him from directing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, he went over to Warner Brothers in D.C. and decided to direct the Suicide Squad sequel. The Suicide Squad sequel called The Suicide Squad.
Is it
David
kind
Ayers.
of a sequel, or is it sort of a reinvention?
I hear that it is a sequel. It is a sequel because Margot Robbie is back as.
So do we need to
character.
know what happened?
I don't think
because
you
I
have
could
to
not
know.
make it through it. I tried twice.
I don't think you have to know what happened, and then they may do a recap for you or whatnot. Who cares what happened?
Such
in the
a
first
horrible horrible
you know
movie.
The first one was directed by a really great director, too. David Ayer is a fantastic director. He directed the movie Fury with Brad Pitt about the World War II tank.
Well, maybe he hit lightning in a bottle with that because he was terrible on Suicide Squad. And maybe it was the editing, too.
I think it was studio interference, too, from what I hear. James Gunn said there was zero studio interference for him making the Suicide Squad because they knew they were dealing with a good filmmaker, I guess. Listen to this cast list in the Suicide Squad. Some of them I'm not familiar with, but I'm going to tell you the ones that I know. And it sounds like a roster of Marvel film. Of Marvel. Okay, Margot Robbie returns as Harley Quinn, so we're going to have her to look at for 2 hours, which is always nice. Idris Elba is in it.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Fillion is in it. And they're all playing characters. Director, sometimes actor, Taika Waititi is in it.
Sometimes even voiceover.
Yondu, Michael Rooker is in it. It's just incredible. Doctor Who, Peter Capaldi is in it, who's a fantastic actor. If you've never seen the television series The Musketeers, I think it was on BBC, he's the bad guy in it, and he is fantastic. Peter Capaldi is fantastic. And James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn, who played one of the pirates in Guardians of the Galaxy, provides the voice of Weasel, the little CGI character, kind of like Rocket Raccoon in Bradley Cooper in Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm hoping it's not going to come off as just a blatant, poorly done Guardians copy. I don't think it will because James Gunn is a really good filmmaker and he's got a lot of other talented people with him. So hopefully I think I'm actually may go see this in the theater.
You know, the thing about James Gunn, he's got a really in-depth knowledge of comic book lore from his age range. He knows these stories. He knows them inside and out. So when he writes these stories, he's basing it on the source material. He's not I hate Superman, but I'm going to write a Superman movie.
Oh, who does that?
I don't know. We'll just say, for lack of another name, Zach.
Who makes Superman not Superman? Yeah. Well, two of the best things that Marvel Studios did was hire James Gunn. I know they fired him. Disney fired him, but they brought him back. He is directing.
Well, Disney just fell prey to the whole cancel culture and realized they made a mistake.
He is directing Guardians 3 now, which is great. Hiring him, James Gunn, and hiring Taika Waititi. Those two best things. One of the best things they ever did was get those two guys together to direct movies.
Do you know, I am now more excited for what Taika Waititi is going to do with a Star Wars because he knows. I've been told, write your Star Wars story, make your movie. Because we're done trying to mess with obviously we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Do it.
Like fans obviously don't think we know what we're doing. Yeah.
You know what a breath of fresh air. If you don't know who we're talking about, watch Thor 1 and 2, which they're not bad movies.
Right. Yeah.
They're very heavy into feeling like a Thor movie. Right. Then go watch Ragnarok and go, that's what happens when you say, let's breathe some life into Thor.
Right.
It is my favorite Thor movie.
It is, and it's one of the better Marvel films.
I can rewatch Thor Ragnarok over and over. Even from the beginning when he's hanging by the chain and the big monster's talking, I was like, hold on. Wait till I'm coming around. I'm coming around. Like Thor.
He's making a speech here. I can't hear him until he gets back around.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
And if you saw The Mandalorian, the final episode where the interaction between the two biker troopers.
The scout troopers, on the speeder bikes.
Taika Waititi wrote that and directed that episode. And he's got a knack for humor.
He's got a lot of class, too, because remember when that happened with James Gunn, I do remember a lot of people going, well, who's going to direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? Who has that kind of comedic tone of a director or whatever? And a lot of people are like, hey, Taika Waititi. He could direct Guardians 3. And he goes, no, I don't want to direct Guardians 3. It's not my movie. That's James's work. Mm-hmm. He kind of in the way said he didn't want to step into that, which he probably could have done fine job at. But he goes, no, I don't want to do that because I think they're friends with each other. And they don't want to. He kind of didn't want to step in and do that. And
don't forget, James, when he got fired, it was because someone decided to go and look for tweets that were 8 years old that had a little bit of an off color to them. And he had already said, look, the First Amendment doesn't protect you from your private employer firing you, because he had gotten into a fight with somebody else that had been fired recently. And he said, the First Amendment is there to protect you from the government.
Right.
And so after this, a lot of people were like, aren't you going to like, look, if they're going to go after me for this, they're a
private company.
That's them.
We can be fired anytime.
And he chose not to be a jerk about it. He chose not to bash
Disney.
He
didn't like it, but
I'm sure. No, nobody likes getting fired. But check that out. Less than 6 months later, they said, you know what? We were wrong. Can you come on back? We want you to write and direct Guardians 3. I mean, that's the right way to do it. He proved you can just be a decent person, stay consistent, and things will work out.
Aren't we lucky, you and I, that people can't delve back into our past when we were in high school or whenever in the past. There's no trail with us, thank goodness.
You know, my daughter and I were talking about that just a couple of days ago. I said, when did it become illegal to ever be immature and a kid? You know, you're going after
Apparently
these
now,
adults that are in their late 20s, early 30s, like, yeah, but do you know when you were in middle school what you said? Well, I was a dummy in middle school. Aren't we all dummies? You can't come after me now.
That. I don't know what to do. Well, speaking of Disney, I have a Disney story here. This kind of dovetails into this because we're talking about Disney firing James Gunn. I have a movie. I have a story from Alexandra Diebler from Fox News. Disney World to allow all guests to wear Halloween costumes after canceling a not-so-scary party. The park, which canceled its annual not-so-scary party due to the coronavirus, is changing its rules around adult costumes this year. The park announced Friday that guests of all ages were able to wear costumes in the Magic Kingdom from September 15th through Halloween Day, October 31st, for during normal hours. They previously banned adults and guests over 13 from wearing costumes. However, they announced Friday they can do it now. The rules will be for the costumes. No full-face masks or outfits. Well, how about masks for masks? Or reach or drag on the ground costumes such as full-length princess dresses and stuff like that. Fall-flavored treats and snacks will also be available at restaurants within the park. Check it all out at their website, Disney. BK on the air. We'll be back.
It's my turn to operate.
Operate?
Butterfingers!
It's Operation the Wacky Doctor's
Here's your
Game.
card.
Batteries not included.
Takeout is spirits for $100. Oh, you'll never do that. Don't touch the side. Here goes his funny bone.
It takes a very steady hand.
I did it. That's $200 for me.
May I play? Operation, a Milton Bradley game.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by The Best Things in Life, which are still free with minimum purchase at participating dealers.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here, having a wonderful fun time today on Saturday, like we do every Saturday on the air. Dispensing nostalgic geekiness, goofy talk radio for 2 hours from 10 a.m. till noon.
You know, that's a great song, but it was also used at floating away, drinking their beer, and like, don't bring me down.
They have noticed that ELO is very popular after so many years because they use them in a lot of commercial ads, a lot of their songs. Well, let's go back to the 80s. I got a quiz for Alan Sanders here. We do a quiz.
Good.
We do a quiz for him sometime, and it's kind of fun asking him questions and stuff. This quiz comes from Decades.com, and it's called "Can You Tell the Difference Between 1980s Bands and TV Shows?"
I hope I can.
Do these things belong in a VCR or a cassette deck?
Oh, God.
TV shows and band names can sound a lot alike, especially in the 1980s. Take The Waitresses, for example. That can be a sitcom along the lines of Alice, but really it was a new wave band with the hit single, "I Know What Boys Like, I Know What Guys Want." I remember that song. I actually sung it a little better than they did, believe it or not. You're going to find some of these trios of the titles or whatnot, one of these things is doing its own thing. One of the things does not belong. So pick the one. We're going to be like Sesame Street. Yeah, or Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the other. Alan needs to pick out which of these three is not an 80s TV show. Which one is not an 80s TV show?
Okay.
The Golden Girls, Silver Spoons, Bronski Beat.
Bronski Beat.
Bronski Beat. You are right.
We start off with an easy one.
That's an easy one, so here we go. Which one of these three, again, is not an 80s TV show? Mr. Merlin, Mr. Sunshine.
Oh, wow. I'm going to, because I know this, Mr.
You are correct.
Mr. Yeah.
Mr. Merlin was kind of a cool show. It was like a Merlin the Wizard came back in modern day time. And again, it was in fall preview guide of TV Guide, and it didn't last long, like we talked about earlier. Which of these three is not an 80s band? Modern English, Square Pegs, Missing Persons. Those three. Which is not?
Modern English.
Modern English. Wrong. Yep, Square Pegs was a high school sitcom. And it had
Wait, did you ask me that question? You said which is not an 80s?
It says,
Modern English.
Which of these three is not an 80s band? Not.
Oh, not an 80s band.
Yeah,
sorry.
Band, yeah.
I got it backwards because like Modern English is an 80s band.
Right.
My bad. Square Pegs.
Okay, well, you know it then. It won't let me redo it.
I'm sorry. I did it backwards in my head.
You missed that one on a technicality problem.
Okay.
You did know the answer. So you're still 100% so far. I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
Which of these three is not an 80s TV show?
Not a show this time.
Yeah, which is not an 80s TV show? The Wizard, Whiz Kids, or Houdini? Now we're getting a little harder now.
Not a TV show.
Not an 80s TV show, which is not one.
Give me them again.
The Wizard, Whiz Kids, and Houdini.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Houdini.
Houdini. You are correct. So you guessed that one, didn't you? You got.
I went with process of elimination.
Right. By the way, Square Pegs, the TV show that didn't last very long, Sarah Jessica Parker starred in it. Jamie Gertz was in it, and Merritt Buttrick, who played Dr. David Marcus in Star Trek II, was in it as well.
You know, the danger of opening old wounds.
Which of these three is not an 80s band? Which of these three is not an 80s band? Shakespeare's Sister, Swing Out Sister, My Sister Sam.
My Sister Sam.
My Sister Sam. Correct. That is a TV show with Pam Dauber from Mork and Mindy.
Yep.
Which of these three is not an 80s band?
Okay, I have to keep listening to the question. Not
an
band.
80s band.
Okay.
Not an 80s band. China Beach, Japan, or Hanoi Rocks?
Japan.
Okay, I know that you're wrong on that one. China Beach is the answer. China Beach.
China Beach was the TV show.
Was the TV
God
show.
dang it, I did it wrong in my head again.
Did it wrong again.
God bless. And I'm listening to you, but
These
I
are
knew
not-
China Beach.
And I think they're doing this on purpose. They're changing it up on you. Okay, listen closely. Which of these three is not an 80s TV show?
Not a
Which
show.
is not the TV show? Man of War, Manimal, Automan.
Man of War.
Man of War. And you are correct on
They're
that. Yep.
I think they were a rock, like a metal band.
I've never heard of them, but I've
heard of Manimal and Automan.
I never saw Automan, kind of a rip-off Tron, I think, and it didn't make it. But Manimal actually was a very interesting show with Simon McCorkadale as a detective who could turn into animals, which didn't make it, of course. Which of these three is not an 80s TV show? Which is not a show? An 80s TV show. Shadow Chasers, Night Ranger, Night Flight. Which of those was not an 80s TV show?
Night Ranger was not a TV
Ranger
show.
Was a
if I
group.
listen to the frickin' question,
right.
I can actually get these
Sister
right.
Christian, which that song always reminds me of Boogie Nights when Alfred
Every
Molina's
single time I think of it in my head.
And Jesse's girl was playing during that scene too. That scene where they're the firecrackers and they're there to rob him in Boogie Nights. Number 9. Which of these three is not an 80s band? You're doing pretty good. Not an 80s band. Lady Blue, the Blue Nile, and the Ocean Blue. There's a lot of blue stuff going on there. Which is not an 80s band? Ooh. Lady Blue, the Blue Nile, the Ocean Blue.
I'm going to go with the Blue Nile, but this is a total guess.
Incorrect. Lady Blue was a police procedural. So that was the answer. Lady Blue, which is not an 80s band. And I think I got a few more to go here. Which of these is not an 80s band? Sable, Glass Tiger, Stray Cats.
Sable.
That one was fairly
they're
easy
all feline oriented.
Yeah,
I like
right.
that.
That was fairly easy. Here's the next one. Which of these is not an 80s TV show? I think they're just alternating. Which is not an 80s TV show? Heartbeat, Leg Work, Naked Eyes.
Naked Eyes. They sang
Correct.
that song,
There's
Always Something There to Remind Me.
Which I always thought, you listen to it, it sounds like Paul McCartney's voice singing it. It really does. Which of these three is not an 80s band? Not an 80s band. Well, we're getting up at the top of the hour here. After the Fire, Code Red, Firehouse. This one was easy for me.
Code Red.
Because that was a television show with Lorne Greene about a fire department back in the 80s, which in the TV guide, fall preview, I didn't know that it wasn't going to make it. So, yeah. Oh, After the Fire. That was obviously an 80s band that did Der Kommissar. Don't turn around. Yep, which is a remake of a
Der
European song.
Kommissar's in town.
Which of these three is not an 80s hip-hop R&B group? I'm giving you a little extra information here. Not a hip-hop or R&B group.
Okay.
Bare Essence, Soul to Soul, Nice and Smooth.
Nice and Smooth.
Incorrect. Bare Essence was a primetime soap.
Oh, really?
Bare Essence was the answer. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought there was like a salt and pepper kind of.
I had only heard of Soul to Soul out of this.
Yeah, I knew that.
All right.
Well,
when did we get? We gave you two of them that you
I got
named.
One definitely. Two
so
wrong.
It says you got 9 out of 13, but you really got 11 out of 13.
So
right?
2 wrong. Yeah.
Okay, so that's not bad. Not bad.
Not too bad. Not as good as my Shakespeare. Apparently, that's still my favorite thing.
Right.
Who knew? If you bring any one of my teachers from high school, especially my English teachers, on and say, by the way, we'd like to introduce you to your former student. He is now an expert in Shakespeare. They'd go,
yeah. That's a funny one.
Like, what? That guy?
As opposed to my teachers where you go, oh, yeah, by the way, he's wasting his time on the radio every Saturday for 2 hours. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's totally possible. He could have done that. He did it in school.
Now, I like looking back to people and say, you know what? Nobody cares about your opinion on anything. Who's ever going to listen to you?
Who's ever going to listen to you?
I've got that story now. I'll be able to say that if I ever make it big somewhere.
Yeah.
I was told nobody cares about my opinion.
Let me do this one because I teased it right quick from Fox News. Girl Scouts are debuting a new cookie inspired by French toast, believe it or not. Cookies are modeled after the breakfast food favorite, featuring frost-dipped biscuits shaped like mini French toast slices. The GSUSA announced on Tuesday the new cookies will only be available in select areas, they say, but customers are encouraged to contact their local councils for information on the availability of the new Girl Scout cookies based on French toast. Girl Scout councils that sell the cookies for between 6 and 8 weeks annually, and most sales are between January and April. The cookies sales benefits programming for 1.7 million girls, according to the Girl Scout of the United States. They had to pivot their beloved cookie-selling business, like many others, as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, relying more on digital sales instead of their traditional cookie stands earlier.
I did that with some friends of mine. They actually are up in New York. Their daughters are in the Scouts, and they're like, "Hey, would you like to buy some Scout cookies?" I'm like, "Well, you're up in New York," and they said, "Yeah, it's all online. You just have to put her reference number so she gets credit." I was like, "Oh, really?" I went paid for it. It came shipped to me. She got credit. Win-win.
And won't that work real cool when the pandemic is finally over, that they can still sell them in person and sell them online? So maybe now they'll sell more. Because that's another outlet.
One of the few things that I make an exception for, because I know it's going to the Girl Scouts, is I will buy 1 box or maybe 2 of Thin Mints, and I can slowly eat them over the course of weeks even.
Right.
Everybody else in my house, if I show that we have them, they'll be gone before I realize they've been opened.
Yeah, I'm different. I can quickly eat them over the events of one day. What's your favorite Girl Scout cookie if you had to pick
Thin Mints.
My favorite, I can't remember what it's called. What's the one that's just like the little butter cookie with a symbol on it? Is that the trifold? What is it called? I can't remember what it's called.
The truffles?
Samoa? I can't remember what it's called.
Samoa's the coconut chocolate.
No, I don't like. I'm not a big coconut fan, but that plain butter cookie. That's my favorite one. I don't know why. Glass of milk. I'm ready to go.
You know, as I've gotten older too, just those butter cookies, period, that you get in the pan at Christmas.
They're
just a simple cookie. But oh my goodness gracious, ice cold glass of milk and about 4 of those. That's a treat.
And if you give me the popcorn tin with the 3 types of popcorn, the caramel, the cheese, and the butter, I go for the caramel corn first. I mean, it's just the one that gets emptied first.
Got to get dessert before you
mix
eat the rest
together.
of the meal.
That's right. Or just take the whole tin and shake it. No, you've infected the other popcorn. Well, it's always been fun to be here. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Save your show properly.
Yeah, I will. I'm not going to do it again. I say that. Get that gremlin out of here. Thanks, buddy. See you next week. We had a good time. We'll be here next week. It's BK on the air.
Boy, that sun's hot. I got a headache. I better go home and take some medicine for it.
Oh?
Sure, I got a lot of stuff in the medicine cabinet.
Taking pills is dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Dangerous?
The wrong pill or too many pills can make you sick. Remember, kids shouldn't take any medicine unless it's given to them by a doctor or their parents.
I remember, Superman.